We have some positives, but we also have some negatives, and it starts with Sega Informant here, a account on Twitter that posts a lot of stuff about Sega and Atlas games and characters, etc., to keep us all informed on the franchises within those windows. So that being said, Windows isn't the right word, but within those, whatever. That being said, if you haven't already, make sure you follow on Twitter for Sega Informant and myself, linked down below in the description, also in the bottom left corner. But it starts here because what happened was the reaction to Crossworlds was so bad, so toxic, that they ultimately decided they will move on to stop covering Crossworlds and cover mostly everything else, which is kind of insane, maybe a bit of a reach, but when you get constantly inundated with a lot of negativity, I can understand why that will be the approach that you take. And here's a thread in relation to this and why this all happened. Okay, you know what? Since Sonic fans want to play a game of absolutes, I'm going to be exclusively covering Shinobi and Raido until Crossworlds releases. This fan base is getting ridiculous. I give one unfortunate piece of information, and there's immediate overdramatic reaction. Fans need to understand that as someone who covers stuff from across multiple IPs and fan bases, the Sonic fan base is seriously making me lose patience. I don't want to make this a chore. You can expect more thorough coverage from both Raido and Shinobi, as well as Persona 5X. This isn't a problem of being disappointed, not at all. It's how you present yourself. I don't mind simple jokes, but it's getting to a level that it's not funny. I'm pretty tired. I've talked about it numerous times. There is a self-hatred for this franchise. Oof, that's scathing. A level of mental gymnastics is being performed to undervalue projects being worked on. Not everything will be perfect, so stop acting like a child and throwing the entire thing out. It's legitimately embarrassing. I genuinely believe you don't want things to improve, but to fuel an existing narrative that you've built. Like I said, I pity Sonic Team and anyone who works on this franchise because they will never win. Also, for fans who want to immediately doom post since you're clinically addicted to it, here, read this regarding character voice acting for Crossworlds. Man, I didn't know it was this bad. I only read a couple of the posts. I didn't see the whole thing. This will be it for me for a while. Starting tomorrow, it's all about everything else. It's long due for this fan base to grow up. Only Sonic related content from me will be price deals from Sonic Racing Crossworlds, since I know many will find that helpful, and retweets. That's it. See you Sonic fans in September when the game is out. So here's the post about the voice acting. A lot of people asking now whether or not the characters will even have grunts or speak. I think they will. From deep, more accurate translations, it seems like they're only talking about rival battles. That's all we will see, though. So people were pretty interested in the fact that character interactions between base roster and collaboration characters and all of that stuff. So this is like a rabbit hole to keep on going down. But ultimately, we got to this point because people were really upset about the news coming out. So, I mean, this isn't even the first part about this, right? Speak seriously on this. It might be an issue with IP holders and the cost of voice acting everyone beyond the base roster. It's not just the English voice acting, but you have to do it's several others. The amount seen in the base game is already sizable. There is no dialogue for collaboration characters because of the IP. The voice dialogue is limited to the 24 Sonic characters. That is unfortunate, not having the other characters have voice acting. But I mean, if it couldn't be avoided, it simply couldn't be avoided. You know, I have seen with various other games, good or not, I've seen a lot of times from afar where anything that releases is constantly talked about in a negative way. And I do think there is some level of they can never win with with the fan base. But it's always hard for me to talk down on a fan base or something like that, because at the end of the day, they are the people that are supporting. Right. And so the people that are supporting should have their voices heard. They have the right to criticize. I do think that it can get toxic when it's an echo chamber, when things aren't changing and you keep on going about it. And by the way, if you're wanting to stay away from that, Sega Informant, Twitter is about the worst place you can be. Twitter is quite literally, for every single anime community, an echo chamber of negativity. Seriously, anime, gaming, whatever. If you are on Twitter, all you're going to see is people that dislike stuff, and especially if you interact with it, because then the algorithm will get to work and it'll show you more of that. So it's quite literally designed to be an echo chamber. But aside from that, there were a lot of people that replied to it saying, you know, the situation has me fuming. Everything about Crossworld's news cycle has shown that the vast majority of us aren't ready to be in a good spot for the franchise because you can't fathom the franchise being good. We are the problem. You are the problem. That is absolutely scathing. I'm sure a lot of people want to agree with that, particularly the most vocal people in the community in terms of the negativity of it all. But, you know, I do think, like I was saying, that there is a level of that where how much is too much? How far is too far, right? The doom posting, all that type of stuff. Is that necessary? What is that accomplishing? Like, I don't fully understand it from that degree, right? But, you know, there was another follow-up from Sega Informant. You have to understand the context because it's important. The Sonic community very much has a strange way of taking in less than stellar news. They become very self-deprecating, and the spreading of misinformation and misinterpretation goes so far. You aim to provide the truth and factual information in pursuit of that truth, so please understand how tiring it is when you have a fan base who actively makes that a challenge all the time. Yeah, if that's happening, then that's where it's too far. Like, you don't need to jump to the umpteenth degree on something. I think there's a degree of let's wait and see. Let's see how this goes. Is this really worth raging over? You know, I think there's some of that too that could be a factor as well that maybe isn't resonating with some people. So let me know what you guys think about all of that in relation to the drama. And that says nothing about the pricing. That was mostly related to like the voice acting. The fan base was extremely upset and very, very conflicted about the pricing. I saw so much of that, particularly in relation to like Mario Kart and stuff like that. Where do you stand on the pricing? You know, it's interesting for me because on one hand, I could have seen this being like a free game, right? Just a live service free game. Think Fortnite, something like that. But it would be probably much more monetized than it is now, right? So by having that barrier to entry, charging, you know, as a game, just like as a flat out game outright, despite the fact that it is mostly a live service game from what I've seen and experienced, they are able to kind of shield themselves from needing to have to do so much of that shady monopolizing, I guess, you know, practices in the game. So let me know how you feel about that. Now to some good news. Okay, so the big three pieces of information about the interview for Sonic Racing Crossworlds: collaboration characters won't have interactions with the base roster, but there will be new character releases each month, new collab characters every month. And that is pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And that's like the main thing. So it's unfortunate if they won't have voicing, but it is cool to see the Crossworlds universe continue to expand and continue to keep on adding new characters to it from various franchises you would be familiar with and that you have a affinity for. Ryo Hazuki from Shenmue. I have not heard of that series, is not Zero. So maybe you're excited about that as well. But let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe. And if you haven't seen it, I covered the entirety of customization in Sonic Racing Crossworlds. And that video is on the screen right now for you to click. So make sure you click it and I'll see you over there.